How are you combating hallucinations? And there was a big
That was a
early
question. You were
adoption
reading my
of
mind.
AI where a lawyer went and came up and found a case that was just made up. So how are you balancing that? The AIs are not always right, so we want to make sure people know, go in with cautious optimism when you're
Right.
using this, but there may not always be perfect. So how do you balance
Yeah.
that?
The reason I said is that it's not just a lawyer; it's several lawyers who've
Okay.
used ChatGPT and in real life
They didn't learn
litigation
after the first
cases.
one got.
Yes, and so some have burned their fingers certainly, and obviously the learning from that is that we shouldn't be relying entirely on that when it's obviously as grave as a legal case in a court of law. You've obviously got to do your due diligence. You have to do your findings properly through the correct traditional legal sources. Yes, ChatGPT certain or some of these GenAI platforms certainly get you information real quick, real fast. But of course, just like a doctor's profession, it impacts somebody's life. So obviously, you've got to be obviously vigilant and careful about that. And that's probably why we heard in the news that some lawyers probably lost their law license as well, or got suspended.
That being said, I'm curious, right? Because so I come from the finance space
Okay.
as Jason does as well, and a lot around the finances, it's mathematical proof, right? It's black and white for the most part, right? So there's a lot of roles right now, especially in bookkeeping, AR, AP. Now we're seeing things in the cash flow P&L space that an agent can now go do because it's either right or wrong, it's precise or not
Yeah.
mathematically. And in the legal space, what's interesting is a lot of it's set on precedent, right? And documents
Case law,
and
yeah.
case law. So could there be an argument made that, well, why couldn't an agent be a lawyer?
There can be certainly an argument to be made over there. I would say so. There are spaces within the legal space that can be automated, and there are certain other spaces where you will require a little more cerebral or fact checking or fact finding, a little more litigation and court cases, presenting your court case before a judge. There is a certain level of the due diligence that the lawyer has to conduct, as well as you know persuasive writing. Persuasive writing is also what a lot of it involved in a court case. That part, okay, you could argue that an AI may be able to, creatively write something really, out of the case law. But it's, I don't know. We'll probably see in the next few years how legal tech tools come out in terms of writing these persuasive case laws and cases.
I think you're probably weeks and months the way that AI is moving. Things don't happen in years anymore.
I agree. Well, I'm just
Right.
thinking, I'm
Fair
envisioning it
enough. Good
already,
point, yeah.
right? I'm envisioning it already where you have an avatar, you have a screen, you have all case law that's relevant loaded within the knowledge base. Why couldn't it be done today? What is the creativity? What's the creative missing strategic link that I'm not thinking about, so that all the lawyers that are watching aren't thinking like, holy smokes, I might need to change jobs. What do you think it is?
Actually, there are platforms that are already doing this. The larger platforms that are already investing in these are the Thomson Reuters, LexisNexis, and Bloomberg, and all of these. The legal side, they already are putting in enough
Wow.
resources.
But I think there's also a lot of education and soft skills that are built in as you went through law school that helps when you're doing going through trial. I can't imagine an avatar sitting there on trial and the judge is like, no, nah, it's not going to happen.
No to you, Judge. No, because I was big shout outs to Signal AI, and we were testing something out where they were using voice and avatar to invite me as the case subject to an event. And she asked me, well, how would you like that invite? And I said, I would like you to send it to me with a Hogwarts owl. And quickly goes, she starts laughing. It says, you joke too much. No, how would you really like your invite? And I'm like, this is where we are. The ability to express, I don't even know how you say themselves, right? It's a digital species. This agent to express itself, to understand that I made a joke, to laugh with me quickly, and then to say, no, hey, quit joking around.
Refocus you.
Right, to refocus me. So I'm thinking about a lot of these roles, and not just the legal space, right?
Yeah,
And this is just what we're
accounting
chatting
space.
about, but accounting space, all of it is, it's just something to think about. Something to think about when thinking of your own role or the role of others within your organization. What can this technology really do, and are we prepared for it?
Yeah.
So,
And like you mentioned, a point, and that's a point that's been discussed, by the way, in these podcasts among legal professionals who are both on both sides of the table, on the side of the practitioners table, as well as on the side where people or lawyers are actually working with company in-house companies that are actually developing legal AI tech tools. The fact that you have this whole 3 year of law school program that lawyers or students go through, they come out of law school, they have this gestation period of 2, 3, 4, or 5 years before they become really well versed with the craft. What will happen to that learning if AI just comes and simply replaces that? So that's just something that's a problem that hasn't been solved, or people are probably still struggling with how
well,
to
I'm,
get
I'm even
solve that
thinking, okay,
problem.
so say it does take over that, then what?
Right. No, it may take over what? It may take over the repository of experiences
Right.
of multiple
Yeah,
lawyers.
that's always been the hardest thing for me to articulate right now is how do you become an expert now that AI is your assistant? Because you don't have to go through a lot of the bars that you had to go through and all the steps
Yeah.
as an associate and working your way up
Exactly.
the chain.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah, that is a key issue to be thought about
It
as
is a
we
great
push the
issue.
borders.
Or does that bar and that expectation of how long it takes those steps, does that come down? So once you graduate and go through law school, now because you have this assistant there, you may not need the amount of time to soak into the job to become an expert.
Right.